Good morning, everyone. Well, probably depending on where you're watching this from. My name is Dr. Femi, and then you're live on the Veterinary Spotlight, our way in Farmalot of putting spotlights or putting emphasis on people who are moving the profession forward. Right. And then we have a big fish in the studio this morning. If you Now, the word big fish, thankfully we are veterinarians, and you will know that when you have an opportunity to find people who have moved the entire profession forward, you're ultimately very grateful. I remember the first time I saw him come back by the way, he finished from the University of Ahmadu Bello University. There are two universities. There's Ahmadu Bello universities and others, right? So I'm always proud to see others. We finished from the university that's naturally ahead. So one of those times he came back to the faculty, and I was just a very young student then. And one of the key things that drove my interest in him was that he made it a point of duty to come back to sit down in the seat he usually sit down when he was in school. And yesterday I got to gather that he finished his U92 set. So U92 set meaning he got into university 1992. That was approximately 8 years. I was 8 years old then, so you know the the age gap, it's wide. But he's been one of those people who have immensely sacrificed for what we now know, or what we are now proud of, the veterinary profession. And he's not practicing here, but he's here in Nigeria. We will know a lot more about him. We'll just allow him introduce himself. I'm talking of no other person than Dr. Chudi. Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you.
Well, so how does it feel? You're back to Nigeria.
This is home for me, so it's always great to be back. And thank you for having me in the studio live.
Well, we're proud, first of all, to just say that we're very proud of you. There are few people who come back to give back to the society that give back to them. You have consistently done this for 20, 21, I hear 25, I'm not sure.
21 years.
21 years.
Yes, yeah.
And that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So first of all, let's start from who you are. Mm-hmm. I know you finished from Ahmadu Bello University. Just walk us through your journey.
Yes,
from
yes.
The start.
So again, I'm glad to see people in the audience, and hello to everyone who have just tuned in. My name is Chudi Ndwaka. I finished from Ahmadu Bello University years ago, and since then I went on to get my master's and a PhD from Howard University in toxicology, pharmacology, and then also got boarded and board certified in toxicology. I have done several things since then. Worked for pharmaceutical companies, first Pfizer, now AbbVie, in different roles on increasing responsibility. But the other thing that why I'm here is to talk about a nonprofit, the Africa Education Initiative, which I founded exactly 21 years ago.
Fantastic.
And I serve as the president of the foundation and the chair of the board, and I serve with volunteers who are both here in Nigeria, in Cameroon, and in the United States.
All right, so that's a very good one. But we're coming down to the foundation very soon, but we have quite a bit. 80% of our listeners are veterinarians. And I want to start with one of the burning questions, right? Yeah. We'll just stay about 10 minutes on the veterinary space. Yeah. The first, we have a lot of our young people who want to move out, right? And I see that happen almost always. They're young, they finish, they think there are no opportunities here. And but maybe just briefly compare, what's it like in the United States?
With respect to veterinary medicine?
With respect to veterinary medicine, or is this something you advise?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's frankly one of the most sought after professions in the United States. It's actually harder to get into vet school in the United States than to get into medical school, for instance. And because of the fervency of training, veterinarians are very well trained, broadly trained as well. You know, you have to cover several animal species. And understand, you know, the anatomy, physiology of so many different things, animals. And that training, even the medical training part, is something you can use not just in the veterinary field, but you can use it in human medicine, just like I transitioned into human medicine. And it's my training, and I still use my training in Ahmedabad University now in what I do in the pharmaceutical drug development, because I have been trained very well to be able to utilize those skill sets to still do my job in human medicine.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So, again, you know, as I earlier introduced, you are an inspiration. I want to again thank you for all you do for the veterinary profession. Right. Maybe two more questions in the veterinary space before we go to the impact side of it. So, what do you think has been the driving force, right, for you excelling? Right. So we all look up to you. You finished school and you've blazed the trail. What do you think are some of those things we need to look out for that drives people towards the top?
Yeah, I think it's having a good foundation. I was blessed to have a father who was a veterinarian when he was still alive, and gave me the foundation that I needed and the support, you know, to go through college and finish college. But I've always been a driven person. I started school at 5. You know, when my older sister was going to school, I wanted to go to school. And I started university at 16. So it's always been a drive in me to excel, even at a very young age. And being surrounded with someone like my dad, who I saw, you know, that rose through the rank in the Nigerian government, and was very inspirational to me as well. But you know, to the younger veterinarians, and I was at the University of Abuja yesterday to speak with some of the students. I gave them 3 things, for, you know, very simple things. One is to have a goal and strive towards your goal. You know, so that you can make sure that you are achieving your goal. If you don't have a goal, it just feels like you're not having a sense of direction where you're going. And it may seem, it's very simple, but something that I've always set out for myself, even in my professional career, to know when next I need to move to the next level. And to help me with that, the second thing I shared with them is have a mentor. Make sure that you surround yourself and you have that support from someone who you can go to, someone who has done it before, to say, hey, is this the right path? So that you don't feel like you're doing it all by yourself. And your mentor would also be your advocate. And then the last thing that I shared yesterday was make sure you start building your network. And it's not, these are students I was talking to yesterday. You don't have to wait till you graduate to build your network. Start building your network now. And the good news is everything is now global. You know, the internet is global. Your network doesn't have to be local. You know, go reach out to people outside of your university. You reach out to people outside of your immediate network to build your network.
Fantastic. Have a goal, have a mentor, and of course, build your network.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chudi Ndwaka. Right, so back to the impact. So it's overwhelming thinking about yourself. Maybe it's slightly different in the United States, right? Some of us, I'm married with 4 children, right? So, and I have just one life, and I have quite a lot of demands, and the situation hasn't made it too easy for us in Nigeria. So
Yeah.
just you alone is
Yeah.
overwhelming. To now add other people's own to it, it's it's drowning. Right, but you've been able to do this for the past 21 years.
Yes, yes, yeah.
So first of all, I want to ask, what's the motivation? Why care about others?
Yeah, I grew up, again, I have to give the credit to my father, who, that was all I saw him do. He was one of the first to go to college in his family. And so I always saw him train his brother's children, and there were people just coming in and out of our home at the time when we lived in Owerri, and I just saw him training so many people, and sort of, grew up knowing that that's what I'm supposed to do. And, the other thing in life is, if you know what your passion is, then it's easier. If you think about my life and how complex it is, if you're looking into it, it may seem very hard, because how is he able to have a full-time job, a very busy job in a big global company, running one of the biggest dermatology departments in the world, and yet, have a family. I've got 2 kids and a wife. My children are very precious to me, and I've got to still the demands of being a father to be there, and then running a foundation. But to me, it comes so naturally for me, because that's my calling. It's something I know that I have to do. So it doesn't feel like work. And of course, some days I'm tired. Some days I give myself the grace to rest, and yes, I didn't accomplish this today. It's okay. You don't have to always be on all the time. And my family knows that. That some days, even though I'm an extrovert and I derive energy from people that I serve, some days I just want to be by myself and read a book or watch a movie. I love Comedy Central and stand-up comedy.
Or play table tennis, long tennis.
So Friday nights is my night. I have dinner with the family, and we all separate to different places. I go find my comedy to just relax, and it's okay. And because after that, and I make sure that I'm taking care of me, I can take care of others.
Interesting. So now back to your foundation. You have you're basically doing 2 things. So what do you do in your foundation?
Our mission is to essentially 2 things: healthcare and education, providing public health opportunities and education. And in education, we have several levels of things that we're trying to achieve, and we have done so well in the last 21 years. One is a flagship program, the toxicology internship program. We have one of our fellows who graduated from that program you would be talking to today. It's just an incredible program, 3 months that you go to the National Veterinary Research Institute in Baum in Jos to learn how to plan and execute toxicology studies in the lab. So it's hands-on, and they pay the stipend. We pay a round trip flight or transport from wherever your home state is, or if you're out of Nigeria, we have people from other African countries, students come in, we pay for that as well.
All covered by the foundation?
All covered by the foundation.
Fantastic.
And so it's been a huge collaboration for the last 15 years with National Veterinary Research Institute.
Do you have an idea of how many students you've engaged within this
Right
period?
now, it's north of 130 students.
Students?
Yeah, that have gone through, we had as of last year it's 125, and then we had another 9 this year. So yeah, over 130 students that have gone through that program. And the good news is they are now in so many different areas of industry or academia or private places that they're working on, government as well. And some of them are serving in a foundation. You know, Dr.
Fantastic.
Doko is here with me. You know, I want to say shout out to him. You know, he's a Northern Nigeria liaison here. So we, you know, they're giving back for what the foundation has done for them.
So you have the internship, over 130 students
Yes,
going through the
yes.
internship.
And
You
then
pay
we
their
have
flight, pay their stipends.
Yeah, stipend. And then the other big program we have is the scholarship program as well. We have both need-based scholarship and merit scholarship. And that I've stopped keeping count of because it preceded the internship program. And so hundreds of students.
When you say scholarship program, you pay their tuition?
Yeah, their
or what?
tuition. They have to show that they're enrolled in college. They have to go through an application process.
Fantastic.
Show, write, I believe, an essay on why they need the scholarship. Usually it's more need-based. You know, if the family cannot provide for them. And the scholarship is awarded. It's, you know, we have a whole committee that does that. I don't even look into it at all.
And you have lost count of
I've
it?
lost count. It's been going on. And these are students who are, some of them are university students, or there's a secondary school. And, you know, sometimes I come across some of them that say thank you to me, and I don't know who they are because there's so many. But that has done so well for the students have been able to get through school, especially now in Nigeria, particularly with the level of inflation. I frankly don't know how students do it right now with the level of inflation. So the need is even more now. And so that's been one of the successful programs as well. And of course, we have the technology program. This is also for technology enhancement in schools and colleges. We set up ICT centers and faculties, usually mostly have been in faculty of the veterinary medicine. There's the bias there, I'm a veterinarian. So we started in Ahmadu Bello. We've gone to Abuja University as well, University of Abuja. And, you know, we set up these technology centers, computers, you know, pay for internet, make sure they have a generator, screen, you know, so the students can also use that facility to be global, to get on the internet, because you cannot succeed in this time without being on the internet. That's just, you have to know how to use computers to do your research. So we've set these up in several universities here in Nigeria, and that's been another successful program. And then, of course, we have the public health. Public health is two things, you know, helping with nutritional supplies for students in schools. And the one that we did that we were so proud of, it's actually my home village, Ovim, Abia State, in the school, a community school that students were not having food to even just meals daily. So we provided meals in that school and tracked the students' weight and how they're doing. And just providing them with a nutritious meal once a day in the school resulted in, you know, several of them gaining weight, several of them doing well. And the one that surprised me the most is the unintentional thing that happened was some of the mothers heard about the program and their kids were not in school. They started sending their kids to school. So the enrollment went up, you know. So it's something we wrote up. It's a very good case study, you know, from a public health UN standpoint, that frankly, it can be replicated in other communities. It just needs the funding. So that's another one. And of course, in that same community, we started a health clinic in Ovim, in my hometown. And, you know, one of the very first health clinics that was really, you know, supported it, made sure they had medicines before turning it back into the community, and it's still ongoing now.
Well, so again, I think you exemplify something that is outside the box, right? Because, you know, for most part of leadership in Africa, what we hear is take, 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 take. What I hear from you is give, 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 give across the board. I know one day you will ask who is your children, and you will have more, maybe possibly a million stand up, because what does it take? Yeah. You fathered a lot of people's dreams, and I'm very impressed by that. And again, we can't thank you enough anyway. I know there's a part that you have not spoken about, the orphanage.
Yes, that's interesting. Thank you for bringing that up. That has been like one of my very dearest projects for the foundation. We support several orphanages in Africa, Nigeria particularly, but in Cameroon as well. These kids, you know, you try to hold back your tears when you go to see them. But the one we support here is in Abuja, actually, and we provide. They give us a list of what their needs are, and it ranges from just food supply, big bags of rice, beans, oil, you know, milk. You know, these kids are young; they're infants, and some of them are elementary school age as well. And so we provide whatever they give us on the list, and then frankly also bring my children's clothes. My kids are so too blessed, you know, so I usually, you know, bring a suitcase full of clothes from America as well to give to some of the kids. And then, you know, the NEF Student Club, which is that student chapter of the foundation, is here in Abuja, and they come with us to the orphanage as well and play with the kids, read books to the kids, you know. So it's always really good. It's something that I'm so proud of, and we want to continue to do. You know.
Wow. So I'm amazed. Student internship, all expense paid. You pay their flight, you pay their for whatever it is that they do, and then the scholarship, students on scholarship. Then you have clubs across. You have a health center. You set up technology aspect in some veterinary schools, and you give to orphanage. That's a full day. That's really a full day. I'm still just, we need more of you, right? We need more of you. I think the society gets better with people with a heart to give.
Yeah.
With people with a heart to give.
I don't know how else not to be honest with you. And, you know, the good news is I'm not doing this all by myself. You know, I'm usually the face of the foundation, so people know me. But there is a whole, you know, body of volunteers. We have no paid staff. We have no buildings or facilities. So whatever we get, you know, gets put into these foundation projects, but it's so well organized. I wish I could tell you that it's always well organized. The first few years was rough because we were trying to take off, but we have just wonderful people dedicated with a good heart to give, the want to give, and they are running several of these projects. I concentrate on strategy. I concentrate on raising funds for the foundation, but all of these programs have people that are responsible for executing them, and I want to just say thank you to them right now, because frankly they could have been doing something else with their time, but they have the heart to give back to the community, and that's why they serve in the foundation.
Fantastic. Fantastic. We will invite two of them upstage very soon.
Yes.
But still back to the heart that gives, right? The only challenging part of what you've said is that it comes natural to you. So I really don't know how to ask God. When you're producing people's heart, right? We should have yours as a model. Maybe the society will be a lot better. So at this time, I want to welcome back end. Can we welcome Dr. Eugenia Ishaka? Please come. Let's give you a high mic. You have thousands of children, and luckily we have one of them here.
Figure of speech, of course.
I understand that. Right. So again, you're a veterinarian.
Yes,
Tell us
yes,
about
I
yourself.
I'm Dr. Eugenia Ishaku, a veterinarian. Yes. I trained at the University of Abuja. I'm also a postgraduate student in epidemiology at the Faculty of Public Health and Preventive Medicine, University of Abuja.
Fantastic. So, Dr. Chudi has been part of your life, one point or the other.
Yes. I started out as...
So you're one of the children. But he said I should correct myself, figure of speech. I understand that. All right, go ahead. Tell us your experience about that.
Yeah, I started out as a member of the NEF Club, NEF Club at the University of Abuja. I was the vice president, and also I served as the PRO and also as the vice president. And luckily for me, I got to be a beneficiary of the NEF NVRI Toxicology Internship Program.
Fantastic.
And I would summarize my experience by saying that it was nothing short of amazing.
Wow.
It's a program, it's a 3-month research program that trains and introduces young researchers to research precisely on drug development and toxicology, right? And I would like to break down my experience into 3 categories, starting with research and education. So it starts with a rigorous curriculum that aimed at widening the knowledge base of the participants. So I was trained through courses on drug development, toxicodynamics, toxicokinetics, wonderful related courses to drug development and toxicology. And then it couples this with hands-on practical experience, which is something that is lacking in our educational institutions. So this internship provides you with that practical experience. So after learning about the various stages of drug development, I got to learn how to design and carry out experiments around preclinical stages of drug development, right? And for me, that was the highlight of my experience.
Wow.
It's a remarkable part of the internship. And secondly, Dr. Chudi mentioned mentorship and networking. That's a very big part. A lot of emphasis is being placed on mentorship and networking during the program. So I was able to network and learn from researchers within Africa, outside Africa, because we have a wide network of mentors, teaching us on research, right? And we also have an alumni network. We have fellows doing a lot of work globally, and we also get to benefit from that network, right? And during my sets, we had 2 interns from Cameroon. We had one from Cameroon and one from Ghana, right? So now I can boldly say that I have friends in Cameroon and Ghana. Yeah, and if there's a need to collaborate on anything, I can always collaborate with people outside the country. And okay, third will be recreation. They say all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. And I got to visit Yankari Game Reserve. That was my first time visiting the reserve, right? Yeah. And the institute, the program rather, sponsored the event. Yeah,
you can imagine.
Yeah, and I think, let me speak for my international friends in absentia. That was a good experience for them because they got to experience Nigerian history, Nigerian culture, at the reserve. The experience, the internship, it's a wholesome experience, right? It balances teaching and research. And I will just end by saying a big thank you, to the board, to Dr. Chudi and the entire board for the experience. It's amazing, it's worthwhile. And I would advise every young researcher, starting out in research, in biomedical research, when the advert comes out again, apply. Don't get tired of applying.
Yes.
Because it's an
Okay,
amazing
sign it
experience.
off.
Thank
Well,
you.
I'm just wondering, why do we have that club in ABU? I would have joined.
Yeah, there was. I think it started in ABU actually.
What
Yeah.
year was that?
I don't know what year it started, but a while ago.
2005. I missed that. I missed that. And you're a better person now,
Yes,
showing. And I'm happy.
I've been able to engage in more toxicology-based research. I co-authored 2 papers this year
Whoa.
on, toxicological research.
Yeah.
And that's, all thanks to the experience that I got, during the internship.
Now I'm jealous. Now I'm jealous.
She's a superstar.
Yeah. And you said there are over 130 that's gone
Yes,
through
over
this.
130 now. Yes.
You take these every year?
Every year, the application opens up in January, and the award is made in, I believe, April for a May, June start.
All right, so maybe you walk us through the application process.
Yeah.
And then we will go back to Dr. Eugenia
Yeah.
and then ask her exactly how she made it.
Yeah.
So that we can offer our
Yeah.
viewers a few
Well, Dr.
value.
Duku, correct me, but the application process, it's announced in the internet, Facebook, and we have a distribution, and all the clubs also get it, and it's also on our website. So the application package, you could download and fill it out on the website and then send it in through Google Docs. You guys, I'm not very technologically savvy, so a lot of people are behind this. And once it's done, it gets sent to NVRI, is frankly who makes the decision. So they review the application, and I believe you have to have like reference letters from your professors in school as part of that. Show that you also have some sort of experience in research. Not very much, but some of that is also, and frankly, if you're part of the student club in any of the schools in Nigeria or outside of Nigeria, I think that sort of weighs in as well. And so the selection is made. I frankly don't know what else they do to make the selection. I just get who is selected. But I believe they also make sure, and you have to correct me here because I try to remember how it's said in Nigeria, the 6 geopolitical.
Yes, exactly.
Right,
Zone.
so they make sure that someone from one of the 6, and then the outside of Nigeria gets 2 or 3.
So how did you become lucky? Right.
Her credentials are clearly very good. I mean, this is so highly competitive. It's probably one of the very few internships in toxicology in Africa.
Wow.
That this year alone, we had over 300 applications for just 8 or 9 positions. So you have to be top notch. So, you tell us what else do you have to, but I think your experience, your academic record, clearly, your GPA has to be good because you're competing, across Africa for a spot.
So how did you?
Okay, yes, like he mentioned, your membership, being a part of the club, also helps. I started, we were the pioneer executives, of the Club University of Abuja. I started in 300 level, and in my 6th year, I found out about the internship. I also did my undergraduate project in the Department of Veterinary Biochemistry, Physiology and Biochemistry. So I had that foundation of that knowledge on biomedical research, and particularly on the preclinical stage of the drug development. And the internship is on toxicology, right? So we're being trained on all the stages of drug development with emphasis on the preclinical stage. And I had that foundation, and yeah, the internship contributed. I mean, it just solidified, the whole entry and knowledge for me. It's so if you have an interest, right? Your interest is in pharmacology, toxicology. That's a good program for you to be a part of. Or biomedical research generally, that's a good program for you to be a part of. You don't need to. You don't need to be like me, that did my projects in biochemistry. You can have yours in pharmacology, in microbiology. There are other courses there are other biomedical related research courses that are related to what we do. What the internship trains you on. So
I'm happy for you, and all thanks to Dr. Chudi. You're touching lives, and I think that's really a very important part of it. We have some online audience. I presume there are a few comments, your questions, etc. Just keep gathering them on one side. We're going to be attending to that the last 10 minutes of this meeting. So, Dr. Chudi, do you ever get tired?
Yes, of course. I'm human. Of course I do. But one of the things that my family will tell you is I really take care of my personal, nutrition.
You don't take Coke?
Exercise. I don't take sugar drinks. I'm very selective of what gets into this body. And then I exercise quite a bit. And sometimes it means waking up a little bit earlier than the family so that I can have that time to myself. To just work out. I'm a runner, so so I play tennis, like we talked about. So those are things that keep me fit, because you have to be healthy to be able to do this type of work. Because it takes a lot. Yeah.
So back to the foundation. What kind of support do you think you will need? And I'm particularly interested in that because for people who carry others, right, you're invested emotionally because it's obvious from the way you're talking that you are trying to hold back tears, right? And don't forget, we asked God for a special request that when He's molding people's heart, we have a sample, right? So you're carrying quite a bit. Emotionally, financially, including your time. You mentioned that you run an organization that is leading in terms of dermatology in the world. And so your hands are full. I'm just running a small part, and sometimes I don't answer my calls. So I can imagine how tough it is for you.
Yeah.
So are there specific help that you think the foundation will be requiring? Volunteers? I hear that there are no paid staffs. I'm happy, really, really very happy to hear that. What kind of help do you think the foundations will be needing?
We're always looking for mentors for these young ones, and because this is a way of helping them navigate their academic careers and their professional lives when they start working. So if people have that heart to help others, because I alone cannot do it. There's so many young people that need help. I mean, went to University of Abuja yesterday, and that auditorium was packed.
Was filled.
And they're all looking for help. So that's for me the number one thing. And the second thing is funds. The foundation cannot, handle the amount of requests that is coming in, particularly from Nigeria. In my 21 years of running this is the first time we've just completely overwhelmed with the requests from students across Nigeria. And it's obviously got to do with the situation in Nigeria, the inflation that has come about in Nigeria. Not so much in the other African countries, but Nigeria has been like, and so we're just overwhelmed. So, corporations, families that can afford to donate to the foundation, please go to nef3.org and make a donation. We're a nonprofit organization. If you lived in the U.S., your donation is tax deductible because we have a 501c3 charter from the government, the U.S. government. And that helps us with the programming and all the things that I've listed that we're doing. I just know that people would really benefit from that, so that we can continue to do the work that we're doing.
No, it's heartwarming to hear this. Really very heartwarming, and I know a lot could be done with the foundation, especially with the requests that you have. I know if the foundation would love to do more, so we are asking for mentors and money, right? Good. And if you want to get to do that, you said go on your website, you could donate. What are people who want to be mentors?
You just send an email request to HQ, headquarter, HQ at nef3.org, HQ at nef3.org, and somebody will get right back to you.
Fantastic.
That's our headquarter email address.
We'll be sending in a few requests. Let me get the online audience. Can you bring up the chats online? Let's take that a little bit, then we will now start wrapping up. Right, good. How did you, first of all, can I get the comments, all the comments? Can we put the screen so that I can get all the comments? Or bring up the last comment, let me read. I think it's a question. The last comment. Okay, the comment before this. Oh, somebody recognized you. Right. Thank you, Dr. Chudi. You're doing great. Oh, Sam said you're doing great. Thank you for this amazing session, sir. Your story is a push. I love that. To me, how did you intentionally keep your resilience when you
got started?
When you got started with your foundation, right? He said, God naturally formed his heart. I think that I will not forget. And luckily for us, so maybe I should allow you to answer that. So because it's quite a bit.
Yeah.
Even for me, interviewing you, the question that keeps popping up on my mind, I want to help.
Yeah.
But you have to be over yourself to be able to do that. So I know it's a genuine question.
Yeah, it is. And, again, I want to thank the volunteers that are supporting the foundation, because I am the face, but there's a number of people helping. But to the question about resilience, that's a really good word, because that's what it takes to keep going. And of course there are days that you're frustrated. I remember, last year we were trying to send, clothing and things to the orphanage. I sent it to Dr. Idoko through Federal Express, FedEx, and it was held up in Lagos Airport, and they wanted me to pay like millions of naira. And I called, I emailed to just let them know that this is a nonprofit. I don't think they believe me. So you get some days that you're frustrated with things like that, but you just keep going, And then you also, the other thing too, the vision is mine, so I have to keep with the vision, and it's natural for me. But there's people that will come and go from the, this year or two they'll help out with the foundation, but the next year they can't. And that's perfectly okay, because the vision again is mine, and we're happy that they have at least helped in the few years that they have. And then, but other people join, so there's never been a lack of volunteers and people helping. And I also am okay with that, because people's situations change, Now in Nigeria, again, things are much more difficult for people, so you don't get a lot of help. And even the orphanage doesn't get a lot of help at this time, because people are trying to feed their own families. And that's why it's a lot more, load for us to carry, with, particularly because it's such a difficult time in the country right now.
Somebody said it takes one man to see a vision, 1,000 to fulfill. And I'm so glad, super excited that volunteers are also there to carry your hands.
Yes.
I'm volunteering. Volunteering. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right, so Dr. Chudi, it's a mentor and father to a lot of us. I said so. Said so. But he said it's figure of speech, right? No, still bring back that comment. Still bring back the comment, the last comment. He's a mentor and father to a lot of us. He has really impacted in my life so much. God bless you, sir, for all you do. Thank you. Next comment. What advice will you give to a veterinarian who is looking to specialize in the same field as you? Well, we need to be sure what field.
I was just going to ask, because I've done several things.
Yes, he had more. So again, but what advice generally will you give to veterinarians?
Yeah, and this is what I was saying to them yesterday again at the university, because this came up from the questions from one of the students. Just have an open mind, right? Don't, it's, the training in veterinary medicine is so broad.
Yeah.
Clinical pathology is the same sort of clinical pathology you do for human medicine. Labs are labs, hematocrit, hemoglobin is the same lab. So, and because of that, be open to other areas that you could use your training in, so don't think if you want to open your own clinic or go to be a clinician and be in a vet clinic, that's perfectly okay. But know that you can do other things. You can be in academia and be a professor there, academic route, like Dr. Doko, you can be in government and work in the Federal Ministry of Agriculture or the Vet Council, that's fine. You can also move out of, immediate veterinary medical area and go into human medicine like I did, and that's perfectly okay. So have an open mind. Don't think that you need to just stay in, because you went to vet school, you need to be in the clinic. We want people to be in the clinic, but clearly we want people to help in other areas of biochemical research. A lot of veterinarians have gone into clinical trials. I did clinical trials for 5 years. I learned a lot there, and this is like running global clinical trials around the world. It's exposed me to countries like India, to South Africa. I traveled there because, we have patients enrolling in those places. And I learned a lot, and then moved out again and went into medical affairs in industry. So just know that your training is so broad that you can literally do a lot. My father, was a veterinarian. He was the first veterinary officer, as chief veterinary officer in my home state, Imo State at the time. But he moved on into agriculture, and served as a program manager of one of the World Bank agricultural projects, and then worked for the World Bank. So he diversified as well. Didn't stay in the clinic, even though he worked in the clinic at some point.
So the opportunities are vast.
Yes.
And I think one of the key things I picked, just be open-minded. be open-minded. Everything doesn't end in the clinic.
Yes.
Everything
Yes.
doesn't end in the clinic.
So, and the other thing that I think some of the Nigerian younger students don't know is the fact that you got your bachelor's in, say, accounting, or or you get a DVM doesn't mean you have to stay in that. You can do an accounting degree and then do a master's in public health.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be in accounting. So, and I frankly didn't know that when I first left veterinary medicine, because for some reason, I don't know if it's the practice or just how people do it, people think if they get a first degree in this particular discipline, you have to get your master's or your PhD in that discipline. That's not true.
Funny enough, some of us maybe probably have a little bit of that, but I think most young people think once you're a vet,
That's the, yeah.
it's a rubber stamp.
Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
to do everything
But it
covered.
prepares you for everything, because it's such a broad training. You have medical training from the clinics, where you're looking at, labs to figure out, whether what the parasite is, or what type of disease you're in, just based on the lab work and the clinical pathology, so it's really broad training that we get in veterinary medicine.
I have a special question. Right. So, what you do and what you're doing, rather, needs to be replicated, right? I know there are quite a bit of people, vets, who are also successful. But so if you want to advise in quote, a successful vet to take your path, so just imagine, look at her here, and how proudly you have helped and has shaped or given her a foundation to excel. If we have you, let's assume you've done 130 or maybe a little bit more with the student club, because sometimes there are indirect effects of what it is that you're doing. Right. So, and because we still have vets these days, young vets these days, that need to find something to do. Somebody called me and said he has a vet, the vet is just confused, didn't know what to do, he's tired, he's regretting, he read vet. So I was like, okay, I initially most often don't pay attention to some of those comments, but I asked the vet to come see me. And I realized that it's just a word of hope the person needs.
Yeah.
Because sometimes hopes are dim. But again, if one candle is lit, nothing hurts it lighting another candle.
Yeah.
You've lit a candle.
Yeah.
And we're all proud of her. But what advice will you give to people to look back a little bit? And don't just keep moving forward. You need to look back and say, okay, are there 5 vets? Are there 1 vet? Are there 1 young person? Is there an orphanage I can visit? I'm not there. Well, I love what you do with the orphanage. So it might not necessarily be an orphanage. It can be prison, it can be whatever it is.
Yeah.
What do you need to do?
Yeah.
What will you say as an example that will encourage maybe slightly older vets or successful vets?
It's just the concept of giving back to the community, because the truth is, even you have so many successful Nigerians here who are veterinarians as well, and frankly, none of us did it on our own. Somebody, gave you a hand at some point. You and I were sharing our stories yesterday. So just take the time, and I encourage everyone, just take the time to slow down and say, hey, I want to give back to the community that helped raise me. And it doesn't have to be, trying to run your own foundation. That's for crazy people like me. It could just be in your own community to take interest in this child that has a potential, and be there to guide them. you know, so that they don't get lost, you know, like the veterinarian you were talking about. It's really simple, you know, but you have to do it. And I know everybody's busy, and I know that, you know, people have families, and you don't have to sacrifice the time with your family.
No.
And my family's time is protected. I prioritize my family first before anything. The foundation, my work in the industry, there's no job that can pay me enough to you know, not to make sure that I take care of my kids and my wife. So that time is protected, and I protect it very seriously. So I understand that there are pressures of family and extended family. No one is telling you to give that up, but just finding a little bit more time to helping someone, especially the younger people coming in. And for the younger people, you know, one of the things I tell them, and I'm so glad they're going with me to the orphanage on Sunday, is I want them to also see that even though they had all these complaints they told me about yesterday, that there are people that are so also not as privileged as they are, to be able to be in a college situation and be in a vet school. You know, these kids have no one, you know, the orphanage is caring for them. So you're actually better off than these kids. So the, you know, bringing the NEF Student Club to that orphanage, frankly, is to help them see that life is not that bad, you know, that have on campus, because you can see there are people that are equally much more less privileged than you are. So help those people, help those children, and with that we're creating a generation of young people who would think about community service as well as they grow up. Because, you know, all these people, you know, look at Eugenia, I may come work for her someday. They are going to do well, you know. Exactly. I know some of our veterinarians are ministers and, you know, Minister of State. That's pretty impressive, you know. And these are people, these young people are going to be running this country, and we need to take the time to make sure that they are to invest in that.
Eugenia, you're going to give a heartfelt thank you, but I'm coming to that. Just one last word from him. This last conversation, it's important. You know, I know vets that are CEOs of bank. I think the last University of Ibadan induction, that was when I got to know that the CFO, Chief Financial Officer of GTB, and that's a huge position, is a vet.
Yes, yes.
So, but again, it just draws our attention to the fact that even if you're not that successful, if it's one vet you can carry, maybe we should add community service as part of our curriculum. Because if we all have this mindset that, oh, despite I'm still on my career path and I'm still moving forward, despite I'm busy, despite I have a family to protect, I can still spare a fraction of my time to pick one hand. You're picking so many anyway, so I'm not, people can get discouraged by, by the number that you pick, but I'm just asking for one.
Just one person.
Just one, just two,
and
three.
You can imagine if all of us did that, what this world could look like. Completely different.
Glow. It will glow.
Completely different.
It will glow.
So I'm happy for those that are, you know, doing very well, you know, I'll probably never get to be a CFO of a big bank like that, which is fine. But just reaching out to one person, that's all you need.
It might not even be in the position, it's just in the heart.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So, just in the heart. And your heart is golden. And thank you, Dr. Chudi. Although I will leave the thank you to Eugenia. So let's wrap up. We're already running out of time. Okay, so I see a few comments. Oh, Dr. Latunji Nasser is on board. Quite amazed at the impact. Do you know Dr. Tunji Nasser is a member of the Veterinary Council Board? He's the president of the Commonwealth Association.
Okay. Well, nice to meet you, Dr. Nasser.
We are quite amazed at the impact. But what about sustainability of the program? That's why we're calling for mentors and money.
Yes.
And I want to volunteer on of his behalf. I know he's listening. He's going to be, Dr. Tunji Nasser, he's going to be one of the mentors.
Good.
I think I would figure out how we could get in
Yes.
more mentors
Yes.
for young people, and then also more funding.
Yes.
You need all the support.
Yes.
So if you have a final, okay, I still, back and don't tempt me with this comment. Thank you for sharing this tip about self-care. True that you specifically exercise. Okay, somebody's paying attention to the exercise. You can imagine. All right, also, that you specifically exercise. All right, so I think that's good. Our time is running out.
Yes.
If there's going to be a last word, more of our audience are veterinarians.
Yes.
And as I said, even before coming, we've had you one time on our platform.
Yes.
And we see you up there. We see you as the model. And more importantly, I think what I really want to pick from you, it's your heart that looks back to the younger people. People accuse me sometimes I pay attention too much to the younger people, but unfortunately also there are also people who have graduated, older people, and are still trying to ensure that things go well for them. So for veterinarians general, if you have a final advice and you want to talk to the community, what would that be? What's top on your mind to say to them?
First of all, again, thank you for having me here. It's been a wonderful conversation. The veterinary medical profession is the best. I can speak for myself. I'm glad I'm a veterinarian. I'm glad I was trained in Ahmadu University.
Yeah.
And it is made me who I am today, and to gain the skill sets that I'm using today, even in my current work. So, stick to the profession. Make sure that you do everything to enable the profession to succeed. For those veterinarians in positions of authority, please reach out to the younger ones, particularly those that are coming out from vet school, so they're not discouraged by putting in 6 years of training and not be able to get work, because that's very frustrating. Nobody wants to do that. It's rigorous training, it's intense training as to get to become a veterinarian. So, let's do all we can to help these young people get into positions so that they can also look back and bring others with them.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Well, Dr. Eugenia, it's going to be an elevator speech. You know what they call elevator speech? You have
30
1
seconds.
minute. No, I'm going to give her 1 minute. But you have to kill it.
No pressure.
I'm just joking. What were you saying?
So I've been a direct beneficiary of the board, and I just want to say a heartfelt thank you on behalf of myself and every other person that has benefited directly and indirectly from the board. I want to say thank you to you, Dr. Chudi, for having this vision, and the entire board for supporting you so strongly, even without any advantage being attached to it. You've invested so much of your time, your resource in helping young people and also giving back to the society. It's admirable. And like Dr. Femi said, I pray that God gives a lot of us, that heart, because the world will be a better place. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you. So
Out.
let me thank every one of us who joined. The world, as Dr. Eugenia has just wrapped up saying, will be a better place. I think the biggest thing I want to pick from this conversation is that let's look back. Let's look back. The veterinary profession is still, well, I wouldn't want to say the veterinary profession is still young, but there's still so much to do. There's still so much young people to hold. There's still so much veterinarians out there that wants to probably order their lives. And a candle loses nothing. That's the very strong message. If it just stands a little bit and tilts maybe slightly towards the right, towards the left, behind, forward, and light up another candle. Wouldn't we want a littered profession? And I think we didn't miss it by saying we had a perfect example in today's show. Let me once again thank Dr. Chudi for being this worthy example. And you've done something amazing to my heart. And maybe by the time you go back, you start hearing of a few things we're doing. And we'll also lean towards Farmalat, we'll also lean towards seeing what we can do with the club. We could start with the club and more importantly, the foundation, because together I think we can set the ball rolling towards a brighter and a better future. Thank you everybody for coming, and then Dr. Eugenia, thank you. I'm slightly jealous, but again, it doesn't stop me from telling you thank you. Everybody, have a wonderful afternoon.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
That's fantastic.